Hey guys, what's up? In this first video, I want to show a bit of my development project for the Cozmo. So the idea is that I will develop some new pieces of code to Cozmo itself and use the Cozmo SDK to do so. The idea of these videos is that I will log this whole experience and share with you not only how I did it, but also the code itself. So to develop code for Cozmo, Anki developed a very nice SDK, which I will not explain exactly how to install it, but it's very simple, and I will add the link on the descriptions of the video. To develop for Cozmo, you actually just need a computer, can run Linux, Mac, or Windows, a tablet or phone to connect with the Cozmo and the Cozmo itself. I have here Amazon HD Fire 8 inches. I bought it only for Cozmo, it was quite cheap, and it can run the Cozmo app quite well. And if you are planning to develop for Cozmo, that's an advice I can give you. Get a device to use only for Cozmo development, because once you're using the device, you cannot connect it to the internet. It only connects to the Cozmo via the Wi-Fi, and you will need to let the device on for a long time to develop things for Cozmo. Once everything is installed, you actually just have to run the connect the tablet on the computer, of course, through the USB cable, and run the SDK mode on the tablet. Once you do that, the robot will stay on, but it will stand still and waiting for commands and code to come for it. So for this first video, I developed a bull game where the robot will try to find your face. You will hide your face behind your hands and scare the robot. This is a very simple game, very simple interaction, which is not present on the Cozmo. And I thought for the first video, for the first project on the Cozmo, would be very interesting to do. So first of all, I just have to run my code towards it. It will try to find my face. It found my face. It will now search for my face, but it will not find my face because I hide it, and it will search for me, and then I will scare him. So the interaction is quite simple, actually. The whole game is quite simple. It's split in 3 interaction phases. The first interaction phase, the robot tries to find the face of a person. Once it found the face of a person, it will perform one animation. The second part of the interaction is the robot then will lose the face of the person and will not able to see it anymore. That means that the person put his or her hands, over the face. Done that, the robot will do another animation. The third interaction act is the robot sees the face of the person again and perform an animation. Then the whole thing repeats again, and then the robot executes the whole loop again. The idea is that once the robot finds the person's face, the person puts the hands over the face, and then the robot is looking for the person. Suddenly the person's face appears again on the bull face, and then the robot is scared. So code-wise, the project is divided into 2 pieces of code. The first one is behavior class. One thing I like Cozmo is because it's a very reactive robot. If you turn it on, it will look around to his cubes or someone who to play with it. So it's not just standing there waiting for an interaction. And through my project, I want to show a bit of this behavior. I want to build a bit of this behavior in the robot. For that, I created a robot behavior class or a robot behavior profile, which will just give the robot things to do while it's running. Right. So for now, this class it's quite simple, and it only contains a common robot startup with some log of errors if happen, a run folder, a run structure which will actually run the robot. I also put a little phrase here that the robot will say ready to go every time I start coding for him, so I know that everything is working. On my robot behavior function itself, what it's doing so far is just trying to find my face. So for that, I ask the robot to load down his forks, and to bring up his face. And done that, I start my loop, my forever loop. So this is running forever until the robot finds a face, and the robot's looking for a face. Once the robot finds a face, the robot will call my bool game, which I'm developing here. That's the second part of the game, of the code, is the bool game. So the bool game, it's quite simple as explained before. We have these three interactions, but using the Cozmo SDK to develop it, I found some issues. So Cozmo SDK has already a very nice function to count how many faces there is on the picture that the robot is seeing. I based all my loop on this function. If there is a face, then the robot found you. If there is no face, the robot you put your hands over your face. To do that, I have a while true, so it's running forever and ever. This interaction is always starting over and over again. I have a closure here. I have a flag here called isSleep, which will indicate me the speed I take pictures from the robot, and I will explain why this is important. The basic speed I have is 200 milliseconds. That means that every 200 milliseconds the robot takes a picture. Every time that the robot finds a face, I have a flag here to not a flag, but I have a counter here to indicate me how many faces it found and how many faces it did not found. So how many times it find a face, how many times it did not find a face. And this just to bring or to make the code more robust. The first step is to find a face, right? Once the robot found a face, so if the number of faces in the picture is higher than 0, and the robot already found 3 faces before, and this is the stability closure of the code, that means that the robot will have to find your face 3 times to make it work, and with that I try to avoid false positive results. The robot to play an animation. Anki was very nice to give us a lot of animations already done. This is one of them. And you can choose whatever animation you want. For this game, I just found these animations to be the best. Once the robot found a face, and this face is there for at least 3 pictures taken together, and every picture is 0.2 seconds, that means that every 600 milliseconds, if there is a face there, the robot then goes to the second state. We also reset the counters here to make it suitable to come back to this state without being interfered by a previous step. In our second state, we have the phase where the robot tries to find that you put your hand over the face. This is where I found a problem. Not a problem, actually it's a very good thing for the Anki SDK, but was a problem for this interaction. Even if I have my hands over my face, the robot could detect my face if it has detected my face before. So this was a problem because it detected my face in the first step. And then it had to go to the second step and realize that actually I put my hand over the face. But when I did that, the robot still detected my face. So this step here is to make sure that the robot will lower his head, making the camera goes completely out of the person's face, and then resetting the robot find face functionality. After the robot put his head down, so it goes to the minimal head angle. Then the robot puts his head up again, and then start the third step, which is our second step of interaction, which is, hey, I cannot find you anymore. That means that you put your hand over your face. It plays an animation. Put his head up again after the animation is done. And the most important step here, sets our sleeping clause to false, meaning that it will take pictures faster. The robot camera, if I'm not mistaken, can take up to 30 frames per second, 30 pictures per second. By doing that, we are limiting it to taking one picture every 0.2 seconds. And by removing that, we are removing this limitation. That means that the recognition of the face in the pictures will be faster. And this was a problem before because of stability issues, because the robot was detecting some false positive on the picture. With that, the robot will go to the last step, which is where it is scared. So what happens is, once this clause is removed, so the robot will recognize the face faster. It will try now to find your face. So your face was not there on the picture. Suddenly your face is in the picture. That means that you took your hands out of your face. This has to be done very quickly, so the response of the robot is actually quick, and it will not wait 1-2 seconds until it is scared. So that's why for the other pieces of code, we have always a counter saying, hey, wait 3 times or find the face 3 times before you enter this step. Don't find the face 2 times before you enter this step. But here is very quick. Once the robot found your face, it has to react immediately. So the scary effect is really rather fast. And this is done by this function here. So in our counter, we don't have a counter for face found again, and only as number of faces on that current frame. Then it plays animation, scare animation, move his forex up again, look to you, and then goes back to the first state. And then the interaction starts all over again. So although this whole interaction is quite simple, it has some problems. We are not, the robot is actually not recognizing your scare face, your boo face, right? And it is just going into a loop of, hey, I found a face, hey, I lose a face, hey, I found a face again. So not necessarily you have to put your hand over the face to scare the robot. This is a very good point to evolve this program. So in the next steps, in the next videos, I will provide a better boo game, a more efficient boo game, where the robot actually recognizes that it's being scared. So for that, I should use face expression recognition to do that. Anki already has packed the whole SDK with some face expression recognition, and it works quite well for the times I tried, but only has 5 face expressions, and that's not exactly what I need. The idea is that the robot will find a face and will only engage the interaction when the person has a positive expression towards the robot. Once the first interaction is done and the interaction starts, the whole game starts, the person has to hide the face. And then we have hands over face expression. After the hands over face expression, the robot will be able to recognize the bull, the scare. But this can come in two ways, or a happy or a friendly, let's put like that, bull, or an unfriendly bull. And this will depend directly on how you do it. If you make it smiling, or if you make it in a funny way, the robot will react somehow. But if you make it in a very unfriendly way, trying to really scare the robot just for the sake of scary, the robot should react in a different way. This will be done in our next videos, and I will show you how to do that using a bit more than the Cozmo Development Kit. And we will go for a bit of artificial intelligence coding, mostly deep learning and convolutional neural networks, which is the area I work on and which I plan to use in the robot quite much. But yeah, until there, I will let the preliminary bull code available on our Git, and I will link the Git in the video. Use it, and if you have any other ideas, it will be very interesting to know and to share with us in our comment sections. Well, that's it, guys. Hope you like it, our first video, and stay tuned for the next ones.